The apartheid story is very deep for me. I grew up in a farm, St. Albans, it's a farm area. And we pretty much, as the youngsters, did not know anything much about discrimination and apartheid. We didn't know much about those things because we grew in a mixed community in the farm. And the farm we were staying was a state-owned farm. That's another thing. So it did not belong to any particular white person. So we did not stay under a white person. So that is why we did not pick up any other issues at the time. And there were white people who were staying on that farm too. So it was the so-called coloreds and white and Indian. So we grew up, and I was speaking Afrikaans very fluently. But I'd heard about this apartheid, and I didn't know what it was. I was curious to know about apartheid because when I go to the township, people speaking about apartheid, and being shot at, and I'm like, what is this apartheid that's shooting people and killing people? So I would ask my friend, who was white, man, could you take me to your place and please show me apartheid? For me, I had pictured this apartheid, maybe it's a huge dog or some giant thing, and maybe when I'm there are places they hide it in the cupboards and it does not show. So I wanted to see this apartheid. And he was confused, he didn't know. But equally, he wanted me to show him terrorists because he had been told that we black people are terrorists. So whilst I was concerned about apartheid, he was concerned about terrorists. And he says, look, I'm going to ask my father about apartheid. Can you then show me terrorists? So I don't know terrorists. No, you guys ask your daddy about terrorists too. Then, you can give me a chance so that I see terrorists and then you can see apartheid. We were that naive. Then I went to study. Maybe then I was about 12, 13. So every Friday I would go back home. I would hitchhike from a road. And this day, this white guy hit a dog when he was approaching on the road. But the dogs did not die. They then ran into the bushes because it was a bush area. And then he comes to stop at me. And he asked me, why did I not chase the dogs away? And I was puzzled. And he got angry that I was not responding, that I was puzzled. And this white man started shoving me around and he started to call me the K word. For me, this maybe is what people have been talking about. And now I needed to be careful because I do not know what could happen because we are in the middle of nowhere. I was far away from houses. It's a national road. It's remote. And he pushed me and I fell on the ditch. And then said, I have a good mind of kicking you and killing you here. Now I was concealed from the cars that were passing by. And I knew that whatever he was saying could happen because I'm down here and my crashes are up there. And I was like, what do I do now? I had to ask for, and he says, why don't you say bus? And I had to say bus because now I'm fighting for survival. But after a long squabble, he then left. So I had to crawl all around to where my crashes were. And during that time, I was hurt in the most cruel way. And my mind, a lot of things were going to my mind. I was angry at the same time. I was very angry. Now I had mud in me. My books are soaked with water, dirty water, and no one would give me a lift in the state. So I decided to walk home. And that was about, I think, 36 kilometers. It was about 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock. But I walked until 1 o'clock in the morning. When I arrived home, I had blisters on my hand because I was using crutches. And when my father opened and he asked what happened, I just cried. I explained to them the next morning what happened. He was very angry. And he talked about this apartheid racism. And then I realized I had just met apartheid that I've been asking for. It has just come in a most brutal way. Then I decided that it was not right.
I was born in the city of Cape Town in 1961, and my grandfather gave me my names, Richard, Daniel, and Kavi, which stands for the protector of water and of oceans and rivers. That is our clan name. I was moved 5 times in my lifetime, from the city to District 6, from District 6 to Woodstock, from Woodstock to Salt River, from Salt River to Goodwood, from Goodwood to Elsis River. So I grew up in the city and in Elsis River. In 1976, I was elected the president of the SRC on the 16th of June, and I became a student leader through no choice of my own. But when I got home that night of the 16th of June, my mom told me, we knew this was going to happen. It was just a matter of time. You up from the Zulu royal house and from the Khoi royal house. Your forefathers fought the British, the French and the Dutch when they came to Africa. And you are born a leader. That was my conversation with my mom at 9 o'clock in the evening of the 16th of June 1976. And from there, I went to university. When I was at university, I was charged with high treason because there later I bombed 2 police stations and a military camp.
Did you?
Well, this is not the truth and reconciliation, is it? I'm not at liberty to divulge that information, but if you read the court papers, you can find it for yourself.
And so what happened next?
I went to the trade union and I fought for 24 years of my life for worker rights. Black women couldn't get maternity leave. They gave birth, they have 2 weeks to come back to the factory and leave their children with their grandmother. There was 7 days off for sick during apartheid. Apartheid was horrible. Black people couldn't be in the city at 7 o'clock in the evening. So myself and Ibrahim Patel and Azima Talaria, we were all student leaders. We were the front runners in taking the battle to the apartheid state via the trade union movement. We messed them up. We handpicked the strategies that we were going to take. So the first year in the union movement, we got maternity leave and the 16th of June as a public holiday. And then we just grew from there. Paternity leave. We got the right for workers to get maternity leave and maternity pay, because the maternity leave in the old days was without pay. So they could stay for 3 months at home and get paid by the company. And then the state would pay the other 1/3. That's the stuff that we were doing when we were young. I mean, I was involved in the longest strike in the textile industry, 68 days. And we fucked them up. I mean, this is funny, but the union building was opposite the fire station and the police station. The union office was set on fire and the fire brigade did nothing. the police did nothing. They were apartheid fire brigade and policemen. They were white. They didn't care about. They were burning all our papers and files for court cases. So we used the trade union movement to advance the struggle for our people. And I was an African National Congress member, and I was a member of the COSATU, but I was also a member of the military wing on Ezaiswinn. Then I met your mother, and my world changed, because it was also the transition in the abolishment of apartheid. By the way, your mother was deported for dating a black man. So that was my colorful life, an exciting upbringing. And if I have to relive my life, I wouldn't change a thing. I have no regrets. Today, South Africa is not what we were dreaming about. We thought by getting the vote, we would be able to control everything. But the white apartheid regime was very clever. They gave us the vote and political power, but the economic power still sits with them, and the land sits with them. So my wish and my hope is that my children will get the economic power and the land back.
Even with like having family and political backgrounds and being surrounded by people that are that were part of the movement or part of the struggle in general and that have seen all these things, I'm not seeing that being done in the communities. I'm not seeing things being actively changed in the areas in which it's supposed to be changed in the first place. We're not supposed to be just focusing about how town looks like itself on its own, or the charity events that's held for certain groups of individuals, but itself of how we can change the community itself. And people are not doing that. They're not being aware of that. They're not being aware of what their actions are doing towards the younger generation. Like, I come from Amazwi. It's also a slum ghetto area. Majority of the guys are not going to go to school. I've seen people in my grade ditch school, have kids, and then not even be present for those kids. And now those kids are now acting the same way they acting and creating a cycle. Instead of staying put, finishing school, or perhaps getting a job and actually creating some sort of sense of stability towards that individual and actually curve that individual correctly. That's not being done.
But you know, the education system is interesting, because I think education is not regurgitating what's in textbooks.
No,
education is more than that. Education is about dignity. Because if people have dignity, then all of those things will fall in place. If you look at the situation there, the children live their lives outside of their homes. A home is central to a child. Their home is the street corner. And nothing has changed. I promise you, going through there, it reminds me of the 80s. Nothing has changed. It's still the same. And the political parties are failing. All the political parties, including the ANC, that had such great visions and all of it, they've all dissipated. Everybody's looking at what can they steal. What's in it for me? That's the first thing they ask you.
We're supposed to be free to liberate the mind. We make sacrifices about our daily life so that every child knows the right thing and the wrong thing. They say it's your choice. If you take the wrong path, who are you going to blame? The right path has got everything. The wrong path has also got lots of attractive things, but when they're inside your stomach, war begins within yourself. My good brother, our struggle, my struggle, and the African people of this country and Africa at large, who are still fighting for our freedom. The system that is replaced by us is still very strong, because the economy of the country is still in the hands of the minority. I am not saying that we want their money. They made their money. But where did they make it? They make it in our soil. If the negotiations were well, they would say, okay, let's make a breakdown. You delayed us from making money. You've got so much money. You've got money all around the world. Sell us some shares. Until those things change, then Africa will be liberated. Otherwise, South Africa is a free country. And apartheid was just an instrument of power. We were in a total liberation. Our approach is it's a psychological warfare. So this is how we are going to infiltrate our people by conscientizing them to say that, listen, the war is not only guns. The 90% of the war is here. The system crushes you here, your mind. Because if we are disorganized, we are easy to be controlled.